We live in a country where almost 17 million people think that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. And we need to do something about that. There's such a disconnect between urban and rural populations, between the farm and the fork, that we have to do something in order to bridge that gap.
My baby, just 3 weeks to go. The rain is falling wildly, but the moon is still aglow. And tomorrow there'll be sunshine, and the garden will be green. We'll lay a bed of lilies for you to dream.
I was aware of organizations and groups who many may consider in our industry anti-agriculture, and I knew of those sentiments. But when I got a Facebook page and got more involved with social media, I followed many news outlets and publications, and when a agricultural article would be written, oh my goodness, I was blown away of where the public sentiment was. Now I know it may be a small percentage, but sometimes they're the loudest.
I can pull out my phone, and now we have things like Uber Eats, and people aren't even going to the grocery store anymore. So, we've always complained about, people don't know how their food gets to the grocery store. Now, they click a button and food shows up at their door.
What I see in the My Job Depends on Ag movement is they are creating the message, which is important. What they need is how to get that message out there. Who's the messenger?
The future of agriculture in California can sometimes be exciting, but it can also be scary. And so it's so important for organizations like FFA and 4-H to be able to have those ag teachers and those industry leaders who are investing in young people to believe in the future of agriculture.
At the end of the day, there's nothing more satisfying than putting in a hard day's work out here, because you know that your work is part of something. It's a circle.
Knowing in ag that we're a small part of the economy, and a lot of people who aren't involved in ag don't have a clue on what we have here in Central California. I wanted to figure out a way to show people what we can do here like no other place.
My baby, just 3 weeks to go. Your father's preparations for you have found the flow. And your mother, she is resting for a journey to bring you home. And we'll see you when the winds begin to blow. Yeah, we'll see you when the winds begin to blow.
Production funding for American Grown, My Job Depends on Ag, provided by James G. Parker Insurance Associates, helping to protect and grow Valley agribusiness in California for over 40 years. By the Gar and Esther Titillion Charitable Foundation, a legacy of giving to support the people that make agriculture grow. Farms feed families, public television feeds minds. By Brent, Professional Agriculture, supporting the heroes that work hard to feed a hungry world every day. By Unwired Broadband, today's internet for rural Central California, keeping Valley agriculture connected since 2003. By Harris Farms, a tradition of working forward to protect the future of water, ranches, and farms in California and beyond. And by Valley Air Conditioning and Repair, family-owned for a half-century, dedicated to supporting Valley agriculture and the families that grow our nation's food.
The phrase, my job depends on ag, the first time, kind of was out there was a video, a YouTube video that was made in Fireball, California, where Steve, my partner in this, and the California Farm Water Coalition and Mike Wade, they put on a video trying to showcase, they had all these tractors and equipment. We still use the image today in an alfalfa field, just like this one here, of all the jobs it takes just to make a bale of hay.
Working out in western Fresno County my entire career selling farm equipment, early on in my career working out here in the northern border of the Westlands Water District, we out here, before many other places in California, were losing our water to rules and regulations, new laws, Endangered Species Acts, and all the above for 20 years. And that was really hard to swallow when you're watching all this water that the Sierra Nevadas generate go out to the ocean.
The drought and the current political climate and the frustration with ag between me and Steve was coming to a collision point. There was a lot of news articles about during the drought that California, one, it only represents 2% of our, we only are 2% of the California economy. Two, we use 80% of the water. And three, we're farming in the desert. It was like a triangulated effort, really messaging that really was frustrating both Steve and I. I mean, we talked on the phone, it was just a constant drumbeat.
The drought continued, zero allocation in 2014 or very little. The problem was still a problem. And I made a decal, and I'm not the first guy to make a decal. And my attempt was to use the state of California on the decal. And there was a simple reason for that, is that all of us in ag out here in California, in this big state, all have the same passion. We don't know each other because this valley is 300 miles long, and there's separate, different areas of the valley that are completely different from the other. They grow completely different crops. Our many climates here grow everything. And so consequently, ag's been fragmented. And the fragmentation thing has created some issues up in the state and everywhere else where we've been getting beat. So I thought the decal with the state of California might get us all together as one.
Steve called me up while I was working in a cornfield, and he says, "Hey, buddy, I got this decal that I'm working on, and I'm going to show you a picture of it." He shares a picture with me, and it says, "My job depends on ag in the state of California." I said, "That's awesome, dude. I want some for my customers. Put them on our cars." That was kind of the end of the thing. We were just going to put them on our vehicles to kind of show people who we are and where we are.
The big U word for unity is the ultimate goal Steve Malonka has for us in this ag region. If we can all unite and get on the same page, there's nobody that can stop us. And for what we do here in California, it's going to take that to get people running the state to realize what we have here and the value of our climate and our safe food supply for the whole country.
I think that in California, the regulations that we have, not only on water, but as far as animal rights activists go, things like pesticides and crop use, things like that, in comparison to other states, it can be intense, but it's all for a good reason. Sometimes it can be hard to work through, especially for agriculturists and farmers, and that can be a challenge, but there has to be a way to work through it as well.
So I told Steve, maybe it was a couple days, 3 or 4 days later, I called him up and go, "Hey man, this is the name, the symbol is perfect for social media." And the idea was to start a social media page to rebuff the myth that we were hearing about water. That was the genesis of the idea. That's what the foundation. And our goal was to, not to raise money to lobby Sacramento. We wanted to go directly to the people, the voters, the people who live in the urban areas. That was important to us, and to try to get them to reassess and examine their daily interactions with agriculture.
No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So let your light shine without holding it in. Love yourself and don't give in. When you feel the harmony, smile with the sons of the galaxy.
I think at the time there was maybe around 15,000 members, and I was new coming back into agriculture. The year before, my dad died very suddenly, and I got cast into the role of running the family farm. And it's one of those things that I knew a lot about what was going on just because I grew up around it, but I'd been away for quite a while, and I didn't realize how much of the sentiment was out there that people didn't understand agriculture and what we do. And to me, I just looked at it and I thought, wow, what a great way to be able to get this message out to people that need to understand it.
The great thing with My Job Depends on Ag, when it got started, for me as a legislature, was it was somewhere that I could look at and see what's going on from the ground level. Because a lot of what we get is from the lobbyist side. And, you know, unless we're doing the town halls and the meetings and people are coming to us, it's really hard to know what is actually happening and what's being seen. So I was kind of excited when it got started up because it was somewhere where I could follow, I could bounce ideas, I could post things on the Facebook and get immediate responses to things going on. Now, as it's evolved, it's nice because it gives us the power in Sacramento to say, well, here's what the grassroots is saying. And it gives, I think, legislatures a little bit mobility to kind of push back against some of the other things that we're hearing. Because when you look at Sacramento, I mean, there's multiple ag houses, there's a lot of different things going on. I mean, we're a state of 403 commodities. And to really hear from the families that are doing this themselves and have that direct communication with them is remarkable. And it lets us really know where the heartbeat of agriculture is.
So this is a typical harvest of citrus. You got workers on ladders that climb up the tree with a bag, and you'll see them emptying it in the bin. Morning.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. So if you look here, this is the effects of one of the insects that we fight quite a bit. It's called California red scale. And this piece of fruit will be graded out as it goes through the system because of that. It's a real difficult bug to get under control. If it gets out of control, it's bad for the fruit, it's bad for the trees. And this is kind of what I'm looking for when I come out here, this kind of thing, so I can gauge, I can get a better gauge with all of this fruit together rather than looking at individual trees. And so I can gauge where we are with respect to controlling this particular pest. When people ask about My Job Depends on Ag and what it means, there's preconceived notions out there. There's a lot of people that think that we're some kind of political action group, which we're not. Unfortunately, in agriculture, it's very hard to separate politics from the boots on the ground ag, because what happens in Sacramento or Washington, D.C. or anywhere across the country in legislatures, it affects what we do every day. Obviously, there's a vacuum out there. There's a yearning for people to want to be more connected back to the farm. They want to know what we do. They want to know why we do it. And there's been, people in agriculture have a tendency to be private, and so that adds to it. And for me, I looked at My Job Depends on Ag as just a huge opportunity to be able to help bridge that gap. And I think ultimately that's fundamentally what the goal is.
There's 330 million people in America, and hopefully we all get to eat 3 times a day. Agriculture, and sometimes I think our society has been so affluent that people really don't think if they make these changes or regulations will affect what's in the grocery store. And we're here today to say it can, and it will.
Initially, I went into Fresno and ordered 200 decals and sold those in 3 days. And right at the same time, Eric blew this Facebook page up, and we got inundated with people wanting decals. The 200 were sold in 3 days. The next order was 1,000. Those 1,000 were sold in 2 weeks. At $5 a piece, I had $5,000 in my pocket. And I called Eric and I said, Eric, it's not my money. I'm not doing this to get in the decal business. Let's give it away to kids. We're out here in western Fresno County in these small ag towns, and we immediately called Fireball, Dos Palace, Mendota, Chowchilla, right in our backyard, and called the ag teachers and said, hey, we have an opportunity here to help the kids, and we don't want this money for us. The next best place for it, we'll give it to kids for scholarships going into ag. And that's how it began.
Be alive with me. You wasted too much time. Like the stars in me, I feel so alive.
I first found out about My Job Depends on Ag when I first started driving as a silage driver for Bob Machado out of Manteca, and basically he was talking about the group, and I decided to look into it, and I requested to join, and I started posting posts of hauling corn as a silage driver, and I thought it was really cool that I was putting posts up of unique hay fields and routes to the pits where I would dump my load.
Well, I fly an agricultural helicopter, and we spray conventional crops and organic crops. A lot of people are surprised by that, but bugs eat organic just as much as they eat anything else. So we have to control that. And today we were spraying sweet corn. We're spraying for the army worm. And yesterday I was spraying some tomatoes. And we do there's a lot of crops up here in the Delta.
My boss, Bob Machado, he gave me a position driving a silage truck for 6 weeks, so I hauled this last Ode season, and then he referred me to a company which I now work for, and they immediately needed me to spread into the oat fields, and I had some really old boots that I was trying to make stretch as long as I could until my next paycheck. However, the fertilizer ate up the stitches that I had in my boots, and then especially womping on the gas, putting the hammer down, getting through the field, the strain, the boots just didn't hold up. So being that I needed to be at work the next morning and I was going to be in these muddy orchards after spreading, I put an ad on for help if I could buy or have someone's used boots and to get by. Initially, immediately, there was a negative response from someone, and so I literally was just about to take the post down because I was so embarrassed. And then right as I was about to take the post down, floods of likes, and then Andy said, "Don't worry about it, I'll take you to Boot Barn right now." And I really didn't believe it.
All right, well, Jaime, I come across his post. This young man lived not too far from me, lives in Patterson, and he was asking for a used pair of boots. Wasn't asking for money, wasn't asking for a new pair of boots. I had 2 used pair of boots at home that would fit him. I saw that post, and I just felt like, no, this guy's genuine. He just wants a used pair of boots so he can work every day. I says, you know, I'm gonna buy him a new pair of boots, because whenever I buy myself a pair of boots, I feel like I'm on top of the world, especially if I can get boots, new pair of jeans, and a nice shirt. Oh Lordy, it's just like you've been lifted up.
So I just kind of kept on working, and literally I checked my phone about half an hour later on my lunch break, and there was like a flood of people reaching out to me, and especially Andy saying, "Where am I? How come I'm not getting back to him?" And so I reached out to him. Andy said, "What's your size?" And then he says, "I'm at the Boot Barn right now." I said, "Really?" And he literally texted me holding up these boots, "What size are you?" I said, "Well, I'm size 10." And that was Friday evening. Saturday after work, on the way home back to Patterson from spreading all day, Andy says, I'm drying cherries at your boss's dairy, come on by. And so I drove by and I parked and I waited for him and I could hear him, and then that was when I posted that one video, here he comes, I can hear him, everyone, and it was so exciting to me.
This is amazing! Holy cloud! Holy smokes!
Really helping me out here, you guys. Thank you for all the nice comments, and God bless everyone. Have a happy Memorial Day. Look at him coming out, look at him. Yeah! And it was really special, and he came out like Santa Claus to me. It looked like Captain America mixed with Santa Claus. He came out with these 2 huge bags, 3 bags from Boot Barn, and on top of that, he came with 2 pounds of cherries and a pound of fresh blueberries just picked that morning.
He just gave me great pride that I can provide that for Jaime, and I could tell when I gave it to him that he was so appreciative. And I saw him the next day. I drove out to where he was working. I wanted to say hi, shake his hand. And he wasn't wearing the pants. And I says, hey, where's the pants? He says, well, those pants are nice. He says, I'm gonna wear these out first, and then I'll wear those other ones. He says, I wanna wear out my old clothes first, because that stuff you got me is nice, and I really appreciate it. So, you know, that's how it all went down, and now we've become friends, and he's happy to be here. He's appreciative, and he's uplifting. He's working right now. You know, he's not taking time out of his day to accommodate us, really. I mean, maybe a little bit, but he knows he's got a job to do, and he wants to keep his employer happy.
I really got emotional, to be honest with you, I did. And so I tried not to cry in front of the videos, but I'll be honest with you, sometimes I'm a little bit of a crier when it comes to times like this, because these times like this in my life are far and in between. And so I really wanted to embrace the moment and really be thankful and to reach out to everyone, because the My Job Depends on Ag community has reached out to me in a way that I haven't really been reached out to before. And so it's really heartwarming, actually. My family really appreciates it.
Why would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world inside?
1, 2, 3, 4.
For some reason, people gravitated toward what we were doing because they don't know if they felt like they were being heard. This would be a generational thing. We have to continue this march for 10, 15, 20, 25 years.
Yeah, your heart is a sun, and it shines as it opens.
Where your heart is a sun, and it shines as it opens.
Yeah, your heart.
The alternative to a vibrant ag community or industry is really importing food. I interact with people from environmental groups quite often, some of the committees and boards and things that I'm involved with. I make an effort to talk to them because I look at it and say, you know, we are regulated, which overall can be a good thing, but we get to a point where we get over-regulated due to these environmental concerns, and we can't survive. And all we're doing is we're taking that responsibility that person feels to the planet or to their home, their backyard, and we're just giving it to someone else in a place that isn't nearly as regulated as what we do here. And so that responsibility that they feel is now shifted, and now they can't see it, and therefore it makes them feel better. And it's been really important for me to try and bridge that gap with those people and say, if you feel this responsibility, we should try and work together and make this work for all of us so we can still have a homegrown food supply that works for everyone.
You know, kind of the sad part about Sacramento and the way our state legislature works is it's emotionally based. And My Job Depends on Ag has the ability to add the emotional side to what farming really is, to tell the stories of these families that, you know, have been here generations. And without a median like My Job Depends on Ag, you don't have that, because the Sacramento politicians see the trade associations as, oh, that's just another lobbyist. They're just trying to sell me on something. But when you see the family members and the grassroots people from My Job Depends on Ag show up, it's a real person. It's not somebody from a trade association. It's not one of the paid lobbyists. It's somebody who took the time to make the drive up to Sacramento, to leave the farm and say, hey, here's what's really going on. And that's powerful.
Eric, right after that Facebook page started, he may have mentioned that we had 10,000 followers in a week and a half, and he was very emotional, realizing how many people were attacking this page. And I love his comment. He said to me, "Steve, I think we woke up a sleeping giant."
Say, why would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world inside?
Why would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world inside? Inside, all of the world inside.
Production funding for American Grown, My Job Depends on Ag. Provided by James G. Parker Insurance Associates, helping to protect and grow Valley agribusiness in California for over 40 years. By the Gar and Esther Titillion Charitable Foundation, a legacy of giving to support the people that make agriculture grow. Farms feed families, public television feeds minds. By Brandt, Professional Agriculture, supporting the heroes that work hard to feed a hungry world every day. By Unwired Broadband, today's internet for rural Central California, keeping Valley agriculture connected since 2003. By Harris Farms, a tradition of working forward to protect the future of water, ranches, and farms in California and beyond. And by Valley Air Conditioning and Repair, family-owned for a half-century, dedicated to supporting Valley agriculture and the families that grow our nation's food.